As you have noticed the last time, I have been promoted into Tier 2 League Gold, and that's Marine Upsilon right here. I'm 12 right now. It was very difficult to play in Gold Tier 3 already, and being in Gold Tier 2 is certainly a incredible achievement, no doubts about that. Now, as you can see, this guy right here didn't lost a single match and got 270 points. Not bad indeed. While I won 30, lost 12, and certainly am in a good position there. Now it's time to take a look at the Grandmaster and see how things are moving on here. As you can see, the top player right here has 86 wins and 33 losses. Let's see what else is here. 30 wins, 9 losses. So bad, so good. As you can see, the first place actually played a lot. Certainly a lot. While the others were not playing nearly as much. Okay, this guy right here played a lot too. This guy right here played a lot. This one played a lot. Well, I'm sure these games at that kind of level that they're in could be very difficult. Look how many anonymous players there are. A lot. There's probably something like 35 to 40% of all players in like at least the up to the top, like the top 100 or so. So how many there are? So like that 16, 50, and then 100. Alright, so that's out of 100, probably like 40% are certainly anonymous. And as you can see, the lower we go, we see a lot less anonymous players. So it could be that these players certainly understand the importance of being anonymous, and I kind of suspect that that's simply due to the fact that they know each other. Like, they play this game so much, so often, that they simply know each other and they know how they play, they look at the replays, and so on and so forth. Now it's time to move on to the co-op. So that's another way to play this game. Obviously this isn't a competitive game. There are no tournaments and nobody can win hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or even thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, whatever the tournament prize is, by playing co-op missions. Not that I've ever heard about it. Now, as you can see, there are quite a few commanders out here. Now these commanders have a very different abilities. Now let's start with the Ragnar. Renegade Commander, recommended for players of all skill levels. Call down and control an elite battle cruiser. Command an infantry army with strategic support units. Now if we take a look at his units, we would see that they are quite similar to the ones who are currently in the game, besides the Vulture. Fast skirmish unit can use the Spider-Man ability, and Medic. Oh, and the Fireball. So there are 3 units right here that do not go in the game, and this turret right here, or a bunker, it looks like it has a some sort of a cannon on it. So obviously it shouldn't be here. It has many more abilities there. Over here, you can kind of stop the video and take a look at these. And that's pretty much it. However, this isn't kind of an original Terran unit composition, right? So for example, if somebody plays a turn, for example, professionally, he would like to go out to co-op missions and choose a character right here who would offer him only turn units, right? Well, that's certainly not the case. Now we move on to the Kerrigan, and now as you can see, the Kerrigan, she has the regular Zerg units available and not the mixed or upgraded or somehow mutated different units. So she is a good, very good choice for Zerg players who would, for example, play professionally or assume that they're playing professionally. Simply, for example, they're in Master League, Grandmaster League. Well, that's pretty much how a professional player would look like, right? Where he would be, and he would most likely be in the Grandmasters League, right? And or a Masters League. And he could play her, and hopefully their stats, these unit stats, are not that much different, but so far so good. So you can see that it upgrades at level 14, so it just could be that they would change with these upgrades and just wouldn't be the same units. Now let's go to the abilities right here. Mutating Carapace. Kerrigan gains temporary life as she deals damage. If killed, she is revived quickly at her hatchery. Immobilization Wave unlocks Kerrigan's Immobilization Wave ability, which damages and stuns enemies in a large area around her. Ruthlessness increases the damage of Kerrigan's Leaping Strike from 150 to 300 and its cast range from 6 to 12. Increases the damage of Kerrigan's Psionic Shift from 50 to 100. Spawning Pool Upgrade Catch. Unlocks the following upgrades at the spawning pool. Increases Zergling's life from 35 to 45. Zergling's attack reduces their target's armor to 0 for 10 seconds. New unit Lurker. Area damage ambusher must borrow to attack morphed from Hydralisks. Hydralisk Lurker upgrade cache. Unlocks the following upgrades at the Hydralisk Den and Lurker Den. Increases Hydralisk life from 80 to 100. Unlock Hydralisk's Frenzy ability, which increases their attack speed by 50% for 15 seconds. Increase Lurker's attack range from 9 to 12. Malignant Creep. All friendly ground units gain increased attack speed and life regeneration while on creep. Creep tumors spread creep faster and further. Omega Worm. Upgrades the Nidus network to Omega network, which can summon Omega Worms. Omega Worms do not cost resources and load units instantly and can also be used by your ally. Kerrigan Upgrade Cache. Unlocks the following upgrades at Evolution Chamber. Upgrade Kerrigan's attacks to deal normal damage to her target and then jump to additional nearby enemies. Reduce Kerrigan's ability costs and cooldowns by 20%. Fury. Kerrigan's attack speed increases by 10% with each attack up to a maximum of 50%. Spire Upgrade Catcher. Unlocks the following upgrades at the Spire and Greater Spire. Upgrade the Mutalisk's attacks to deal 100% bonus damage to armored units. Increase the Broodlord's movement speed by 75%. Zergling Evolution Raptor. Upgrade Zerglings to the Raptor strain. Fast melee unit leaps over obstacles and into targets from range, deals increased damage. Ultralisk Upgrade Catcher. Unlocks the following upgrades at the Ultralisk Cavern. Unlock the Ultralisk Burrow Charge ability. The Ultralisk burrows and charges at an enemy unit. Upgrade Ultralisk's attack to self-heal for 40% for damage dealt. That's not bad, right? Self-heal for 40% of damage dealt. Ultralisk Evolution, Torascu, upgrades Kerrigan's Ultralisks to the Torascu strain. Heavy Assault Beast has an area damage cleave attack. When killed, can be revived. Queen of Blades increases Kerrigan's energy regeneration by 50%. Not bad indeed. Queen of Blades, recommended for players of all skill levels. Control Kerrigan on the mission with aggressive abilities. Lead a powerful army of the toughest Zerg units. After that, we move on to Artanis. Hierarch of the Alam. Recommended for players of all skill levels. Strike from high orbit using devastating abilities. Warp your army instantly into battle. And here, as we can see, he has a different unit and then from the regular multiplayer game. That's the Reaver. Reaver is a unit from Starcraft 1, just as the Vulture. However, a Reaver is not present in Starcraft 2 multiplayer. Then we have a Dragoon, also another unit that I didn't notice at first, that is present in Starcraft 1, however it's not present in Starcraft 2 multiplayer version, however it's present in the co-op missions. Then we move on to the upgrades. You can take a look at these upgrades that you can unlock after playing this character. Then there's Swan right here, Chief Engineer. Recommended for experienced players. Control a giant laser drill with destructive energy abilities. Build an army of vehicles, spaceships and turrets. So it looks like he's a mech focused Terran. Let's take a look at his units. Goliath. In Starcraft 1 there used to be a robot, so I bet that this is this very same robot that's not present in Starcraft 2 multiplayer. Then we have Wraith, highly mobile flying unit, excellent at surgical strikes. Once again, a unit that is simply not present in Starcraft 2 multiplayer. Science Vessel, aerial support unit, can use irradiate and nano repair abilities. Then we have Hercules, massive transport ship, can use tactical jump. Perdition turret, automated defensive structure, burrows when there are no enemies nearby. And Devastation turret, anti-ground defensive structure, deals bonus damage to armored units, attacks low enemies. After that, we are going to go to Zagara. Swarm Broodmother, recommended for experienced players. Control Zagara on the mission with spawning abilities. Create a relentless swarm Zerg to tear apart your enemies. So the Swarm Broodmother is pretty much a commander of a bunch of hives and the units that belong to those hives in a specific area. So if, for example, you would play a campaign and you would play, for example, as a Terran or Protoss and be facing Zerg, that Zerg army in the region you're facing will have, for example, Swarm Broodmother, or it could be that there would be, for example, in Starcraft 3, something like Swarm Broodfather that's in control of the Zerg and hives and buildings that belong to the Zerg in that area. So pretty much it's a sort of a Zerg commander. If we, for example, have this guy, Swan, that would probably, for example, be representing Terran in a specific area. So if we would have, for example, open world Starcraft 2 game with galaxy and planets that we can conquer and overcome, then this guy would, for example, be one of the commanders defending some kind of a part of a world or a world itself. However, the same goes with the Zerg. They would have these brood mothers and just maybe brood fathers too. In any case, let's take a look at the units. So these units are certainly different. That's another unit that used to be in Starcraft 1 but isn't in Starcraft 2 multiplayer. That's the Scourge. Flying suicide unit. Scourge hatch in pairs from a single larva. So they attack air units. They are a kamikaze style unit that attacks air units and deals a lot of damage to them. And then we have Aberration. Aberrations are durable units that deal heavy damage. Corruptor, that's nice unit too, but we have this in our multiplayer. Then there's the Overseer. Advanced Aerial Observer, maintains the unit cap set by the Overlord. So that's just a different Overlord. It does look different, that's that. And let's look at the upgrades here. Sakara has 100 supply maximum, but her combat units cost less, are more faster, drones morph in pairs, larvae spawn at an increased rate. Alright, so if you for example would like to focus on multiplayer while playing these and wouldn't want to hatch any other units that do not belong to multiplayer, so you could hatch the Queens, Zerglings, Banelings, Corruptors, Spine Crawlers, Spore Crawlers, and that's pretty much it. I've just noticed there was a bile launcher. Defensive structure which bombards target locations with bile, damaging ground and air units in the area. And you would have 100 supply to have hell of a lot of Zerglings and Banelings, and this would certainly teach you how to play early game. Besides that, you could as well learn how to use Corruptor very well. And obviously find out just how Spine Crawlers and Spore Crawlers are effective in battle. Because you see, the way I look at it, in multiplayer game, as much as I would like to, there is a lot of time to build myself an army, and the fights are not that often, while in these kind of co-op missions the fighting is constant. And you could kind of get a good feel of what's going on there. Then we have these abilities, so let's take a look at them. And move on to the other character. So this is another general, and that belongs to the Protoss. Just like, for example, a Kerrigan would be control of the hive, or the Broodmother would be in control of the hive. This guy would be in control of a Terran army or an area. This guy would be in control of a Terran army. The same as for Protoss. This would be the Protoss general, and she would be a Protoss general or a commander too. So she is Vorazun, matriarch of the Nerazim. Recommended for experienced players. Manipulate the battlefield from high orbit with stealthy abilities, command an army of cloaked and high damage units. So these are the units that belong to her. Out of these units, there are a few that do not belong to the multiplayer. So first of all, that's Corsair, Air Superiority Fighter, can use Disruption Web to prevent enemy ground units and structures from attacking. And then we have Dark Archon, powerful attack caster, can confuse enemies, can attack ground and air units. And Dark Pylon, provides supply and power, cloaks nearby friendly units and structures. Furthermore, these are the upgrades that are associated with this current unit. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Now we have another Protoss commander, and that's Karax. Kalai Phase Smith. Recommended for experienced players. Upgrade the Spear of Adun to dominate the battlefield from orbit. Command an army of expensive but powerful robotic units. Alright, Sentinel. Powerful melee warrior can use charge and reconstruction, so these are certainly different Zerg units out there. Then we have an Energizer, a robotic support unit. Can use Chrono Beam in phase mode. And Kaidarin Monolith. Extremely powerful defensive structure, has superior range and damage but is very expensive and attacks slowly. So these were the units that are not present in the multiplayer. Let's take a look at his upgrades. It looks like that device on his hand is making a noise, a consistent noise. As you can see, he's free to play until level 5, just as the Borazon, just as Zagara, just as Swan, not as an Artanis, not as Kerrigan, and not as Raynor. So these can be played, as you can see, with your free count. However, other ones cannot. Let's go further now and see if that's the case for the other ones, to the last one of them. So now we're at Abathur. So Abathur is another Zerg commander. In the campaign, he was one of the Zergs who was responsible for maintaining a consistent evolution of Zerg race, and he used to make mutations and make sure that the Zerg units are much like faster, stronger, more powerful. So we ended up, for example, with Zerglings who are very fast, for example, and we do this upgrade consistently to make them faster. So Abathur, Evolution Master, recommended for players of all skill levels. Evolve your army by collecting biomass from fallen enemies, morph powerful Brutalisk and Leviathan units. These are the units that he has. So as you can see, in between these Zerg commanders that we just currently noticed, he has a series of extra units that do not belong to Kerrigan or Zagara. So, and they still belong to the multiplayer. So that's, for example, the Roach, a Viper, and this Overseer maybe. No, Overseer is already present. That's just a little bit different Overseer. And obviously by playing these, for example, you should only, for example, make Roaches, Queens for injects, Ravagers, Mutalisks, Spine Crawlers, Nidus Network, Spore Crawlers, Overseers, Vipers, and Swarm Host, but do not make any other units that do not belong in the multiplayer. In this case, you'll always be playing with units that you have to play in the multiplayer, and you'll never end up kind of getting confused. Because the way I look at it, what you really want to do is make sure that you know your race inside out, you can feel it, so to speak. You can feel how powerful they are. You have to know your opponent's force, and you have to look at your opponent's force and at least feel or have a good, like, educated guess if you could win or you can't win. And in doing that, I think is the only achievable if a lot of games are being played using only multiplayer based units and not all kinds of mutations that would just simply make the game imbalanced. So it would just mess up your mind in a way that you would not be able to comprehend your units that well. In any case, over these commanders, as you can see, Zerg units that are based on multiplayer spread out, so you would have to use different commanders to kind of use these units extensively. And in these co-op missions, battles are so often that you would certainly have a good feel of just how effective these units are in constant battles. Because in multiplayer, you see, you have to consistently build yourself up, consistently kind of do things that are not just fighting, and in these co-op missions, fighting is kind of the core. Right? And let's go to Abathur upgrades. Biomass Harvester, Ultimate Evolution, Virulent Nests, Roachworn Upgrade Catch, Improved Mend, Evolution Chamber Upgrade Catch, Chi, Biomass Recovery, New Unit Viper, Infestation Pit Upgrade Catchy, Symbiote, Spire Upgrade Catchy, Mutagenic Potential, Locust Injection, Roach Evolution, Vile, Biotic Leech. So this unit is not free to play, you have to buy it. It can only be freely played up to level 5, so just kind of have a look into how it's like. That's it. And that's pretty much it for that. Now let's go to another Protoss commander, and that's Alarak, High Lord of the Tal'Darim. Recommended for experienced players. Control Alarak on the mission with powerful abilities. Lead a deadly army of Tal'Darim units. So these are Tal'Darim units right here. It looks like these units are very different from the regular ones. There's only Warm Prism that was not present on the previous commanders. It's not a free-to-play unit. And if you look at him, he looks very skinny. He looks very skinny. If you could take him out of this armor, he certainly would be very thin. Or maybe that's just how this character looks like. In any case, it works for him very just well, right? Look at his head. It spikes up at the tip of his head. Interesting. And that's that for the Alarak. Now we move on to Nova. So she is a Terran commander. The Minion Ghost. Recommended for experienced players. Control Nova and her army of elite units. Use advanced tech to sustain and support your forces. So these are elite Marine, for example, her units. Very nice name, Elite Marine. Marauder Commando, Spec Ops Ghost, Hellbat Ranger, Strike Goliath, Heavy Siege Tank, Braid Liberator, Raven Type 2, Covert Banshee, Railgun Turret, Missile Turret. And these are the upgrades right here. Covertops. Nova has 100 supply maximum, but her units and structures have increased life, deal additional damage, and are resistant to stun effects. Trained units are instantly deployed into the battlefield. So she will rely on very powerful units, but these very powerful units will have very small numbers, however, additional damage. She is not free to play. She can be freely played up to level 5, and that's it. After that we go to Stukov. Now, who exactly is he? He obviously is an infested Admiral, so aka also known as Infested Terran. Now, as you may know, in Zerg vs Terran or in Zerg vs Protoss, the Zerg can infest units and simply take control. So for example, a Zerg can infest an SCV and make it one of their own, and make a command center build Terran units who are loyal to the Zerg. And this is something like that. So I would assume that Stukov is a Zerg. Let's take a look. Recommended for experienced players. Overwhelm the enemy with hordes of infested forces. Command a twisted army with the strengths of both Terran and Zerg. And these are the units right here. Infested civilian, general purpose infested infantry. Infested marine, general purpose infested infantry. Infested siege tank, heavy tank can route itself to provide long-range artillery support by consuming infested infantry units. Infested Diamondback, fast high damage hover tank, can attack while moving and can bring flying units to the ground. Infested Banshee, tactical strike aircraft, can cloak and can be upgraded to burrow. Infested Liberator, artillery fighter, attacks and deal damage to an enemy air units. That looks like a regular Terran unit right here. Then we have an Overseer, advanced aerial observer, maintains the unit cap set by the Overlord. I like the fact that when an Overlord turns into Overseer, Overseer does not lose the supply cap provided by the Overlord. Infested Bunker, defensive structure, periodically spawns infested infantry that fight from inside, acts as mobile ground transport while uprooted. Infested Missile Turret, anti-air defensive structure, can attack air units. Brood Queen, flying support unit, can use Ocular Symbiote and spawn broodlings. And here we have his abilities. So infestation. Stukov begins with an infested colonist compound that automatically generates infested infantry units every 60 seconds for no cost. Stukov's primary structure generates creep at an accelerated rate and an unlimited range. Okay, so it looks like the way Stukov works is that his structure spawn units, and these spawned units are being spawned indefinitely automatically, and they last for 60 seconds. I guess so. It could be that they die a little bit earlier or later than 60 seconds, but they certainly come out every 60 seconds. Then we have Hostile Incubation, Epidemic, Apocalypse, Infested Engineering Bay Upgrade Catchy, Corrupted Conscription, Infested Infantry Upgrade Catchy, New Unit Brood Queen, Infested Factory Upgrade, Alexander, Infested Starport Upgrade, Incendiary Prosthetics, Brood Queen Upgrade, and Gorge Bunkers Neural Infestation. I wasn't saying catchy because it kind of like I don't need it there, you know, that word. Free to play until level 5. So that's that. Now we move to another unit, and that's the Purifier Executor. I assume this is a Terran unit. Recommended for experienced players. Control Phoenix on the mission with variable combat modes. Call upon legendary Protoss heroes to lead your Purifier forces. So no, he's not a Terran, just as I suspected, because he was a robot. He was a Protoss. He is a Protoss. However, by his name, the Executor, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just a robot. And this robot has quite a few units. So first of all is Legionnaire. Extremely powerful melee warrior, can be upgraded to use charge. Then we have Conservator. Robotic support unit, can use protective field and phasing mode. Adept, Immortal, Colossus. So he has got a few units that belong to the multiplayer. Disruptor. A robotic disruption unit, can use purification now to deal heavy area damage. Observer, Scout, Carrier, Photon Cannon. So out of all of these units, only a few do not belong to the core game, and that's the Conservator. Robotic support unit, can use protective field and phasing mode. However, that's probably quite similar, but just not exact. And Legionnaire. So this unit right here is a good substitute for Protoss players who don't want to play multiplayer but still want to play Protoss and kind of familiarize with Protoss units in battle even better. And we go on to his unit. So variable deployment. Phoenix can warp in anywhere on the battlefield using multiple armor suit configurations. Armor suits only regenerate life and energy while not active on the field. After that, he moves on to additional upgrades. He's not free to play. It looks like now we see another Zerg commander, and it's the Haka, Primal Pack Leader. Recommended for experienced players. Control the Haka on the mission and collect essence to grow stronger. Command a ferocious pack of Primal Zerg. So the way it works is that with the Zerg is that if you haven't played the campaign, you learn that Zerg is not necessarily just Zerglings, Hydralisks, Lurkers, and the units that we see in the multiplayer. The way it works is that Zerg is just a strain, right? For example, humans, but humans are black, white, they're Chinese looking, they are like Arab looking. The same is with Zerg. There's Zerg and there's like Primal Zerg, the regular Zerg, and they continuously go through the evolution and they change. So commanders like Abathur, who consistently make evolutions happen, create all kinds of new strains, and these new strains are very different from the Primal Zerg, who could just pretty much mean the Zerg from whom another Zerg race came, and these do not kind of work together perfectly, right? They're still Zerg, but they are not Zerg. So, for example, we're still humans, but a white male is not a black male, right? We could agree to that, that they are of different skin color. The same is with the Zerg. They're both Zerg, but they look very different. However, they're still certainly Zerg, right? They would still kind of see themselves as allies. And we move on to the Primal Zerg, Ravasor, Primal Roach, Primal Igniter, Primal Guardian, Primal Hydralisk, Primal Mutalisk, Impaler, Primal Host, Creeper Host, Primal Lutralisk, Tyrannosaur, Primal Worm, Primary Defensive Structure. Upgrades. Essence Gatherer. The Haka can collect essence, grow stronger, and choose mutations. The Haka spawns in faster than other hero units and can devour primal drones to reduce his respawn time. Here we will go through these abilities. You can just stop the video and read about them. Alright. If you don't know, the Haka, the previous one that we just looked, isn't free. It can only be freely played up to level 5. Then we move on to the last and the newest commander, and that isn't just one guy, that's 2 commanders that are in control of one area army base of operations, Terran command centers, structures, and units in a specific area mission, and so on and so forth. If Starcraft 2 will ever become a proper like a world or space based, something like turn based real-time strategy game where we would, for example, invade planets or areas of some planets, or just move on to kind of single player and fight, then these commanders would certainly make more of an impact. But pretty much these guys will be control of Terran units. So Han and Horner, mercenary leader and Dominion admiral, recommended for experienced players. Combine ruthless mercenary troops with the precision of the Dominion fleet. Draw from 2 vastly different playstyles that complement each other perfectly. The Horners. When friendly units are killed, they drop resources for the commander of those units. Mad Horner starts with the starport that can train elite aircraft. And now let's move on through the other ones. This pair of commanders isn't free. It's free to play up until level 5. Now let's take a look at the purchase price. It looks like the Han and Horner commander will be yours immediately after completing your purchase. Once unlocked, your new commander may progress through levels past 5, earning evasive units and upgrades. Learn more. Han and Horner digital download. Ruthless mercenaries. Mira's Marauders are a hard-knit group of chaotic, unstoppable fighters that can be deployed on the battlefield from Han's mobile assault galleon. The Dominion fleet. As an admiral of the Terran Dominion, Mad Horner can command their most powerful ships even at a moment's notice. Their precision and power are a sight to behold. Opposites attract. Though Mira, Han, and Mad Horner are very different leaders, their abilities complement each other well, allowing them to be more successful together than apart. It currently costs £3.99. Just for some reason, the prices in my game are in Great Britain pounds. Haven't looked how to change that into euros. In any case, let's move on to the Haka And let's take a look why the Haka is a good purchase. Lead the Primal Zerg. In addition to his own pack of ferocious creatures, the Haka has allied with 3 other Primal Zerg leaders to form a truly unstoppable army. Collect Essence. The Haka harvests essence from his enemies, which allows him to grow in size, strength, and unlock devastating new abilities. Devour your prey. As a mighty predator, the Haka can consume his enemies to briefly acquire some of their advantages in battle. Now let's find out more about Phoenix. Suit up. Deploy Phoenix directly into the battlefield in a variety of robotic suits, each of them designed to handle different combat situations. Purification. Command an army of Protoss purifiers with unique capabilities as you incinerate Amon's forces. Legendary heroes. Gain access to the AI personalities of renowned Protoss warriors from throughout history who will lead your forces to victory. £3.99. Sutukov. Terran and Zerg combined. As an infested Terran, Stukov draws on the strength of 2 races, making him a uniquely dangerous commander on the battlefield. Infest your enemies. Subvert your foes by infesting their structures, which will force them to shut down for a time while you make your advance. Mutate and conquer. Over time, Stukal will acquire the power of enhance his abilities and summon massive units like the Apocalypse and Alexander infested battlecruiser. The next commander, Nova. It looks like the prices for these commanders are very much the same. You know, I think that Nova looks way hotter and more sexy than in here. Like, for example, I would maybe pay £4 for her now, but I probably wouldn't pay here. Don't like the way she looks here. Customized loadout. Equip Nova with the tools she needs to handle any situation on the battlefield. Swap her loadout between stealth mode to ambush your enemies and assault mode for a full force attack. Air support. Call down the Griffin to devastate your adversaries with powerful bombing runs or to airlift your forces to a strategic location. Convert operatives. Engage your enemies with cutting-edge technology and an elite army of upgraded units from Nova-covered ops such as Liberators, Ravens, and Ghosts. Alarak. Alarak, a heroic unit. Wield the power of Alarak himself on the battlefield. Use his devastating abilities to crush the enemy and sacrifice their own minions to heal and empower him. Tal'Darim army. Obliterate your foes with an army of Tal'Darim units like the Havoc and the Vanguard, whose abilities set them apart from other Protoss. Ascension. Unlock Ascendants and their powerful psionic attacks, as well as Alarak's ability to call down the full might of the Death Fleet. Next commander is Abathur. Cutting edge abilities. Spawn toxic nests to trap your enemies and control the battleground. Mend damage taken by friendly units and structures. Top tier units. Collect biomass from slain enemies to improve your minions and unleash monstrosities like the Brutalisk and Leviathan. Develop your commander's skillset. Control deadly strains of Zerg like Guardians, Devourers, and Ravagers. Unlock symbiotes that protect your Brutalisks and Leviathans. Next commander is Carax. Carax, the Spear of Adun. Build the signature offensive weapons of the famed Protoss Arc ship, including Orbital Strike, Solar Lance, and the Purify Beam. Advanced Robotics. Carax has leveraged his connections with the Purifiers to incorporate a number of them in his army, as well as standard Khalai robotic weaponry. Chrono Boost. Speed up your production using a number of boosters. These will also accelerate your ally structures, so you can both stay a few steps ahead of your enemy. Borazun. That's the next commander. From the shadows, the matriarch of the Nerazim relies on stealth and subterfuge to outsmart her enemies. Her dark pylons will also cloak friendly units and structures. Powers of the Void. Borazun can create a black hole to stun her foes or summon warriors in her elite Shadow Guard. Manipulate time. Control the forces of time to freeze your enemies in place, allowing you to cut them down quickly or maneuver around them. Zagara. The Broodmother. Zagara is a controllable unit on the battlefield where she can easily summon her underlings for defense and boost the attack and movement speeds of her allies. An endless army. Use your brood to overrun your enemies. Zagara can quickly breed a number of small but fearsome minions to tear through the opposition. Controlled adaptation. Zagara strategically enhances her brood by mutating certain units to have special abilities like increased speed, attacks, and more. Chief Engineer. Draken Laser Drill. Rory Swan's weapon of choice is the massive Draken Laser Drill, which can attack air and ground units at an unlimited range. Mechanical Maneuvers. Swan's engineering proofs has led him to design vehicles, ships, and turrets with surprising features that are unique even within the Dominion. Build it up. Construction can be a long process, but Swan's the expert when it comes to increasing efficiency and output. There's no information on the first three units. However, now let's take a look at the preview. That's Raynar, and that's his abilities. It looks like he can kill enemies with ease after hauling a massive battle cruiser. He can warp across the battlefield. Then we move on to Kerrigan. Let's take a look at her abilities. Control Kerrigan on the battlefield. Assimilate resources for your allies. As you can see, if she kills somebody, she will get resources from those enemies if she uses that ability. Artanis. Strike. With orbital abilities. Shield your allies. After that, we move on to Swan. Build a factory to create your army. That's pretty much it, I guess. Only a factory. Build a factory to create your army. Upgrade your laser drill. Call down warbots. That was one. Let's move on to the next one, and that's Zagara. Control Zagara on the battlefield. That wasn't so bad. Borazun. Deploy powerful orbital abilities. Cloak your allies. Alright. The next one is Carax. Upgrade the Spear of Adun. Chrono boost your allies. Unleash Orbital Strike. It looks like that's an orbital strike on enemy's base. That wasn't so bad, that was actually awesome. Abathur. Deploy Toxic Nest anywhere. And they're going to kind of step up on that Toxic Nest. Heal friendly bio and mechanical units. Collect biomass and evolve units. So Kerrigan can collect resources, and Abathur can collect things that will evolve his units. The next commander is Alarak. Control Alarak on the battlefield. That wasn't so bad, right? Life restored in combat. Supplicants sacrifice life for Alarak. I see, they will die. And he's going to regenerate health. Friendly units empower Alarak. Defend allies' base. Call in the Death Fleet. recall friendly units. The next commander to preview is Nova. Control Nova on the battlefield. Switch between stealth and assault mode. She does very high damage with that ability. Call in elite units. Call in Griffin support. Call in Griffin support. And nuke, obviously. Call in the nukes. Stukov. Control uninfested army. So that's how they infested the Terran spawn, from cocoons around the building. So these are infested civilians, I guess, and they are melee units. Infest any structure. And the structure will release these warriors. Infest any structure. Summon powerful monstrosities. Oh wow. That was awesome right there. It looks like the Terran learned something from the Zerg, right? They created a robot that works like an Ultralisk. Furthermore, Phoenix. Deploy Phoenix to the battlefield. Swap suits to dominate your enemies. Research powerful champion AI. Champion AI automatically transfer. Command legendary Protoss champions. So obviously these can tank a lot of damage. And deal a lot of damage. Furthermore, the Haka. Devour enemies. Control powerful primal units. Gain their strength. That's very, very unusual to see. Summon primal leaders. The next pair of leaders is Han and Horner. Call in the fleet. Look at that. Kaboom! Space station reallocation. Strike fighters. Salvage unit costs. And that's all. Obviously, co-op missions can be played on random. Are you feeling lucky? Randomly selects a commander for your next mission. Use caution, as you might get your lowest level character. Recommended for experienced players. Furthermore, there are different difficulty levels. So it starts on casual and gives 0 XP. Then it moves up to a normal. So casual right here is you have a little or no experience playing strategy games. It moves on to normal, where you have some experience playing strategy games. Right there, bonus XP is 20%. After that there's hard difficulty. You're a Starcraft veteran, recommended at level 7. And brutal, you are a Starcraft expert, recommended at level 15. Furthermore, there are random missions out there. Mission selection. Select a mission. Selecting random mission provides a 25% bonus to XP. So, what are the missions? Missed opportunities. Egon Stateman, stranded on Belshire since before the fall of Arcturus, is now under assault from Amon's forces. Protect his harvesters as they collect the planet's terrazine to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Rifts to Korhal. Void rifts have opened across the imperial sector of Augustgrad. Together you must destroy the rifts before the hybrids overwhelm your forces. Mole warfare. Long ago, this Protoss facility was used to convert the personalities of great warriors into AI known as the Purifiers. Researchers tested the process on Tal'Darim prisoner, whose rogue personality began to attack the facility. Now the Purifier Guardian, Orana, is attempting to regain control. The Vermilion problem. Amon has incited volcanic eruptions that are destroying Viridia Prime. Gather the crystals required to reactivate the environmental stabilizers and restore the planet before it is obliterated. Void Thrashing. Void Thrashers. Oh, that's Void Thrashing right there. Void Thrashers are surfacing on Char. Work together and destroy them before Sergeant Hammer's forces falls to the ruthless assault. Nerazim Scout, Lirak. The mission is called Skeith of Amon. Skeethi or Skeith of Amon. Nerazim Scout Lirag has made a startling discovery. Amon's forces have invaded Xel'Naga's temple and are using its energies to awaken one of the Dark God's most powerful creations. Put a stop to their plans by destroying the Void Slivers while there's still time. Oblivion Express. Mobius Corps is moving trains of unrevealed cargo across the surface of Tarsonis. Join forces with your ally and intercept the trains before they can escape. Part and parcel. Mobius Corp's researchers have been experimenting on the hybrid as they attempt to create even more destructive horrors. Help General Davis put an end to this by using Mobius Corp's own unfinished mech, the Balius, to kill the hybrid. Dead of Night. A rapid infestation has been discovered on one of the Dominion's fringe worlds. Burn down all of the infested structures before it has chance to spread. Lock and load. Amon seeks to destroy Ulnar before it can be used to open the gate to the void. You and your ally must take control of the celestial locks before their energies overload. Temple of the Past. The Xel'Nagas temple on Shakuras is under assault. Build your defenses and hold out against the enemy's siege. Chain of Ascension. Amon seeks to regain control of the Tal'Darim. Assist First Ascendant Jinara in the Rite of Rakshir so she can defeat Amon's champion. Minor evacuation. Infestation runs rampant throughout one of the Kelmoria's remote mining colonies. Deborah Greene, leader of the local miners guild, is determined to get her people to safety, fight off both Amon and the infested to aid the evacuation. Void launch. Amon is using Kaldir's warp conduits to transport his troops across the sector. Destroy the shuttles carrying the troops before they reach the warp conduits. So these were the missions. Now let's move on to mutations. There are weekly mutations out here, and everybody would have to play a new challenge on a weekly basis. There are different commanders here. No, they are not different commanders, however it kind of looked a little bit off here. In any case, the commanders are the same, and now let's take a look at the mutations themselves. So this is this week's mutation, and it's called Minor Concerns. Rifts to Core Hull. And the mutations are of these. Mag mines are deployed throughout the map at the start of the mission. Fear. Player units will occasionally stop attacking and run around in fear upon taking damage. Slim pickings. Player worker units gather resources at a reduced rate, but resource pickups spawn throughout the map. 2 days left to play this mutation. It looks like that's gonna be pretty much it. Let's now move on to the custom, and that's where we see custom mutations. Warning: running several mutators simultaneously can negatively impact the game's performance based on your system specifications. Create your own mutator challenge. I see. So these are different missions, I see. Am I wrong? Missed opportunities, rifts to core, mole warfare? No. Yes. So for example, lock and load Oblivion Express, right? We see missed opportunities, rifts and cores. So it's not like exactly the same. So let's take a look through these. Lock and load. Amon seeks to destroy Ulnar before it can be used to open a gate to the void. You and your ally must take control of the celestial logs before their energies overload. Oblivion Express. Mobius Corp's moving trains of unrevealed cargo across the surface of Charsonis. Join forces with your ally and intercept the trains before they can escape. Nerazim Scout. Lirak has made a startling discovery. Amon's forces have invaded a Zelnaga temple and are using its energies to awaken one of the Dark God's most powerful creations. Put a stop to their plans by destroying the void slivers while there's still time. Mall Warfare. Long ago, this Protoss facility was used to convert the personalities of great warriors into AI known as purifiers. Researchers tested the process on Tal'Darim prisoner, whose rogue personality began to tag the facility. Now the purifier guardian Aurana is attempting to regain control. Temple of the Past. The Xel'Naga Temple on Shakuras is under assault. Build your defenses and hold out against the enemy siege. Rifts to Korhal. Void raids have opened across the imperial sector of Augustgrad. Together you must destroy the rifts before the hybrid overwhelm your forces. The Vermilion Problem. Amon has incited volcanic eruptions that are destroying Viridia Prime. Gather the crystals required to reactivate the environmental stabilizers and restore the planet before it is obliterated. Dead of Night. A rapid infestation has been discovered on one of the Dominion's fringe worlds. Burn down all of the infested structures before it has a chance to spread. Amon seeks to regain control of the Tal'Darim, assists First Ascendant Jinara in the right of Rakshir so she can defeat Amon's champion. Void Thrashing. Void Thrashers are surfacing on Char. Work together and destroy them before Sergeant Hammer's fortress falls to the ruthless assault. Minor Evacuation. Infestation runs rampant throughout one of the Kelmoria's remote mining colonies. Deborah Greene, leader of the local miners' guild, is determined to get her people to safety, fight off both Amon and the infested to aid the evacuation. Missed opportunities. Aegon Statesman, stranded on Belshir since before the fall of Arcturus, is now under assault from Amon's forces. Protect his harvesters as they collect the planet's terrazine to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Parcel. Mobius Corp's researchers have been experimenting on a hybrid as they attempt to create even more destructive horrors. Help General Davis put an end to this by using Mobius Corp's own unfinished mech and Balius to kill the hybrid. Void Launch. Amon is using Kaldir's warp conduits to transport his troops across the sector. Destroy the shuttles carrying the troops before they reach the warp conduits. So it seems that mutations cannot be played back, unfortunately. And these are only once per week. And that's that. As you can see, there's a late night scab here. Evans. Access the Starcraft 2 page on SL Play to find more about Late Night Cup series. Join the action to play for 1 month of ESL Premium. Oh wow. Alright. Play for €100 and go for points in the longest running Starcraft 2 online competition. So these are certainly good ones to check out, obviously. And that's that. So mutations certainly have to be played out. Otherwise there won't be much to do. Now let's take a look how this works. Custom mutators. Create your own mutator challenges. Not enough players in our party for this mode. It looks like I have to be with somebody else in order to create this, as you can see. And next things next is the keys that I have here, and I changed a few of them, and I still plan to change too. So for example, there's a lurker, and it's good that he borrows with R, but I don't like it that he unborrows with R too, because what happened during the games I played is that I pressed R multiple times, and what happens is that the lurker borrows and unborrows in just a second, right? So I bet that it would be a good idea to change this into E, and that's pretty much it. Furthermore, there are other hotkeys that I've changed, and only for the Zerg. So that's, first of all, is a new key is for buying units. So as you can see here, drone is D, Overlord is V, a Zergling is A with its original Z, Roach is R, a Hydralisk is F with a original H, a Mutalisk is B, Corruptor is C, Infestor is G, Swarm Host is T, Viper is E, and Ultralisk is U. You see, the way I kind of thought through this is that I don't want my hand to move too far from the keys such as Shift, Ctrl, A. So when I'm building units and controlling the hive, I would like to kind of buy units without moving my hand too far. However, for example, Locust, don't really need it, but T is still fine because I don't really know how to play with Locust. And Ultralisk are so damn expensive that I can as well move my hand away to buy them. And if I kind of use them too often, I'll just, for example, switch T with U and so on and so forth. So it's fine. And now other things have changed too. So the follow unit is caps lock instead of M, the follow key. I just kind of didn't like the M simply because I had to move my hand too far away. Now, another thing is that I'm wondering, should I have B and V for mutation, basic and advanced mutation, or could it be better to have something like, for example, number 1? But that would unbound the primary key, I guess. Am I right? 1 primary hotkey, 1 bound. So currently it's on B, but yet again kind of I have to move my hand away, right? And that's 1. So as an alternative, and nothing is really unbound here. Or what if I do that? Okay, that's fine, right? Let's go with this here and see how that would go in a game later on. So I select drone, press 1 and build. So let's try with that. Furthermore, they didn't change the morph to bending anything whatsoever. I did make a few changes here. So I want the bending to explode with the letter F, and I want to enable structure attack with an X. Furthermore, disable structure attack G is fine. Prevents banelings from automatically targeting structures. Banelings can still be explicitly ordered to attack structures, but if I press X, It allows Bailings to automatically target structures. However, this doesn't work now with explosions. On the original settings, X is used for explode, but I've kind of made it to simply attack structures. As you can see, in order for me to correctly do the borrow and borrow, I have to kind of do this with every unit out there. So I want to borrow with R and unborrow with E. Right? But there's something wrong with this. Look at that, boom. Okay, that should be fine. So what's wrong with you? RE. Something's wrong. Control, select a control group 1. Oh no, look at that. That was 1. I see where's the problem there. It doesn't want me to have this kind of a play. Wait a second. So I got back now, and I should go back here, and didn't save anything, so everything was just fine. Alright, so this got saved here, so it looks like I saved it before. And I kind of want this to have for each and every unit. Right, so if I do that, what's wrong with that investor there? So neural parasite. Neural parasite is E here too. Ah, I see what's the problem there. That's a big problem. Neural parasite E, so maybe we can change this into T, then that would be bad. And yeah, that's just fine then. I certainly need E to unborrow because that's so much better. Y for infested terrans, T for neural parasite, F there. So that's okay, I guess. But there's still something wrong. Let's take a look what's wrong. Infested neural parasite. Neural parasite, neural parasite, okay, so I need to accept this, and neural parasite problem should be, no, it's not worked out. Neural parasite, add a hotkey, so a hotkey T, wait, okay, a hotkey T, primary he talking about. Alright, so that's the problem right here. I need this one on E while he's on borrowed. He needs a different, he may have to use a different key to spawn these infested tenants. Oh wow, this is a little bit complicated. Push to talk, voice chat, next to group. Okay, that can stay there for a bit. Let's go further. And it looks like now everybody will unborrow with E. That's what I like to see. Furthermore, this one here can have an alternative just yet, if that alternative is something else. So a subgroup, and that's really bad. However, I would like an alternative there, but it looks like that's just not gonna happen just yet. Besides, I could maybe switch it up. This is for V, and this is for B. That may make just a little bit more sense. Let's go with that for now. So I'll obviously going to be kind of going through this and testing things out. So morph into Bailings E didn't change. Explode F, attack structures X, disable structure attack G, borrowed explosion F. Roaches, morph into Ravager, V, that's fine. Ravager attack F and C, it used to have its original C. Then the Hydralisk move on to Lurker E, that's fine. Like morph into Lurker. Lurker borrow Arum borrow E, I like that. Then we have the Viper, so consume C, abduct D, pulls target unit to the location of the Viper. Blinding Cloud F with the B, and Parasitic Bomb primary E and secondary R. Then we go to this guy right here, and he's Locust. So Swoop orders the Locust to land on the target location, allowing it to attack F. I kind of tried to get this F key on the primary attack. Ability. So for example, spray B, so if he's going to attack ground units, it's going to be F. Ground units and structures. F, that's what's again ground unit. Then we move on to the infestor. So neural parasite T, fungal growth F, and infested terran Y. After that we have Ultralisk, which is just fine. Borrow. Overlord T for transport, that's just fine. Generate creep G, morph into Overseer V, I like that. Then there's the Overseer Oversight W, spawn Changeling C. Actually, if you think about it, this could be really awesome, consistent like Changeling spawns that could run around the map. Actually could be very, very awesome. Then we have the Queen V there, and this could be changed obviously. Now the V key here is kind of important there, so let's move around a little bit. So first things first, 2 keys inbound. I'm saving whatever I've checked there, and let's go to global, and as I probably have to check this off the camera, because it could be that I'll make more changes. It's not final, but you did got a look at how I'm changing things out. Besides that, I found out that my mouse sensitivity has 3 modes. So the corrode modes are sensitivity of 800 to sensitivity of 1200 and sensitivity of 2000. I'm using mouse sensitivity of 2000 when I'm playing Starcraft 2, because then mouses, as you can see, can move very quickly. So that's 800 right here, as you can see on the screen right there. It's like it's moving that fast. Then it's 1200, it's moving much faster, as you can see already. And that's 2000 right there. And I'm using the mouse pretty much on the same pad, moving it nearly the same, but that's 800, not moving that much. 1200, and no, that's 1200, that's 2000 right there, and that's 800. And obviously when it's 2000, it's not bad. I don't need to move the mouse too much, and it's pretty much really quick. Bam, 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 attack, select. Everything is certainly very, very nice. And that's that. Let's move on to the mutation, and later on to the missions. That's a weekly mutation right there.